You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Coming up, area school districts reporting COVID cases among students just after the first week of school. While it's a gorgeous morning, we got to look forward to a Labor Day weekend that number one is going to bring us some rain, number two, some additional heat, and how much is too much when it comes to Labor Day weekend gas prices. Local school districts are seeing a number of COVID cases after just the first week of school. Thank you for joining us on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Michael Hayslip. School districts in Jasper, Newton, and McDonald counties have seen confirmed cases among students and staff, as well as a number of quarantines. In Carthage, 10 active cases among students, 1 staff case, 47 students quarantined. And in Neosho, 22 students have tested positive, along with 3 staff members, with 48 students under quarantine. The first day of school in Neosho, there were 9 positive cases, but the superintendent says those students were not from the school.
Those are students that called in and said, you know, we're positive or we're quarantined. And so we thought, wow, with that number, what's it going to be like when we come back? And really, it has stayed pretty much under control.
Coming up here in just a little bit, we'll hear from the Newton County Health Department on what it was expecting before the school year started and what it is expecting now. Freeman Hospital hosted a COVID-19 briefing yesterday, and at it, Freeman officials talked about an antibody infusion therapy that's now being offered at the hospital. It's a therapy meant to keep high-risk COVID-19 patients out of hospital beds.
Test positive, those are the ones that we can get into our infusion center and basically get that on board. And we try to do that anywhere from the first day up into 10 days after they've tested positive.
Freeman Hospital says it's seen an increase in COVID-19 patients of all ages that now need a higher need for care. Hospitals in parts of the southern United States are running low on oxygen as the coronavirus pandemic continues. That begs the question, what about the 4-state area? KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke to some 4-state hospitals and a local medical supply company to find out more.
As the coronavirus rages on and the Delta variant continues to put people in the hospital, many southern hospitals in states like Florida, Texas, South Carolina, and Louisiana are running low on oxygen. Joplin's Mercy Hospital says that while their oxygen use has roughly tripled in the last 6 to 8 weeks, Mercy and its suppliers can handle the increase.
We've seen a significant climb in the amount of oxygen usage, but as far as deliveries and shortages and any notifications from the suppliers who are monitoring us regularly, we don't see any concerns.
Hospitals like Mercy may be able to handle the increased oxygen demand, but smaller operations like Kansas Medical Supply in Columbus, Kansas are feeling the pinch. They provide at-home and portable use oxygen tanks, and manager Crystal Blake says they've had to cut back on the number of tanks they can provide to customers.
We do the home fill, where they fill the tanks themselves at home, and whereas we would originally take like 4 or 5 tanks for them to fill, we're now taking like 3.
Crystal says the demand for oxygen tanks wasn't always this high, but the Delta variant has forced Kansas Medical Supply to both ration and order more tanks.
Now we are having more cases in this area to where, you know, when it first came out, when COVID was first out, we didn't have a whole lot of requests for oxygen. There was some, but we have more requests for oxygen now with the variant and increased cases in our area.
Mercy says the majority of their COVID patients dealing with severe illness are unvaccinated, and they recommend getting the shot so you don't find yourself gasping for air. In Columbus, Kansas, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
A representative of the Allen County Regional Hospital in Iola, Kansas, says it's also not running low on oxygen, but is certainly monitoring the shortage situation in other states so it can stay prepared. An Oklahoma judge is temporarily blocking a state law banning public school mask mandates, but personal exemptions to mask wearing will be required. Judge Natalie Mai's ruling drew praise from Governor Kevin Stitt, who opposes mask mandates without exemptions, and Dr. Mary Clark. Dr. Clark is the president of the Oklahoma State Medical Association, which joined the lawsuit challenging that law. Governor Stitt says the ruling is a victory for parental choice, and Dr. Clark says it allows schools to maintain local control. Judge Mai said the injunction will take effect next week when she issues an official written order. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly announcing that she's forming a work group called Safer Classrooms. Governor Kelly says this is to protect kids and school staff from COVID-19. It's a group that will be made up of pediatricians, family physicians, pharmacists, and psychologists.
There is nothing more important than keeping our students healthy and alive. The Safer Classrooms work group will help all of us make informed decisions to protect our children and our communities.
Governor Kelly says the work group will meet weekly, highlighting the importance of protecting kids from COVID-19's Delta variant. Crowder College in Neosho, Missouri is looking for a new president, and as part of that process, the school looking for input from the public. School hosted a public forum laying out the groundwork for what it's calling its presidential profile. That's going to be used in the recruitment and evaluation of new presidential candidates.
I can feel there's a good feeling here on campus. It's a great culture, a great institution, and I think will be very attractive for some highly qualified presidential applicants.
Crowder's current college president, that's Glenn Coltharp. He is retiring at the end of the school year. Let's take a live look outside of Television City. Try to capture that little piece of sunshine there in the left-hand corner of your screen. It certainly is a gorgeous morning, and it's nice and calm as well. That's 7th and Rangeline over Joplin, where we sit at 71 degrees, and you'll notice no difference between the temperature and what it feels like right now, and our humidity a good 10 percentage points lower than what it was at this point in time yesterday. We're going to range from 68 in Iola and Monette to 72 in Miami. Let's roll 71 in Carthage and 71 as well in Neodesha. Skywatch Storm Tracker has remained relatively clear. We'll dive into what's sitting out here to the west in just a little bit. Certainly has not had any bearing on our Thursday morning, and the longer we progress, the more that it's breaking up. As far as what we're seeing, though, out to the East Coast, yes, the remnants of Ida yet to dissipate. So one more day of flash flood potential that is now stretching from New England all the way through Nova Scotia. And on top of that, we now have 2 more named storms in the Atlantic Basin. One of them goes by the name of Kate, the other one goes by the name of Larry. And while they have not posed any threat to the contiguous 48 as of yet, we will be eyeballing them all through the course of next week. Our 7-day forecast as we head into the weekend would include temperatures in the 90s for the next 2 days. Then, a little bit of a break with Saturday rain that'll actually take us down to the low 80s for Sunday. But hello, Labor Day. Well, I tell you what, I think we're going to stay dry for the most part, but it is going to be hot and humid just in time for the holiday. Coming up next on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, a condition associated with adults can show up in children and may impact their heart health. And Godzilla invades Missouri Southern, but all for an educational good reason. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be back right after. Topping Health Watch this morning, sleep apnea is a condition that we associate with adults. But the American Heart Association is warning the sleep disorder is common in children and also may impact their heart health. Bradley Blackburn with the story.
Ureli Aguilar-Cielo has concerns about her son's sleep.
He will always sleep with his mouth open. He will breathe for a couple of seconds and he'll pause and he'll breathe again.
I just feel really tired.
9-year-old Giovanni suffers from sleep apnea, a disorder that affects up to 6% of children and adolescents. The American Heart Association says the quality of a child's sleep and sleep apnea may impact blood pressure, heart structure, and other heart health factors.
Having obstructive sleep apnea can be associated with higher blood pressure, metabolic syndrome. Conditions like obesity and high blood pressure and high cholesterol, when they occur in childhood, they do tend to track into adulthood.
Dr. Carissa Baker authored the statement. Symptoms include snoring more than 3 nights a week, as well as gasps or labored breathing and daytime sleepiness.
Some of the kids who we're seeing who may be having difficulty focusing and things like that during the day in school, ask about their sleep. These are critical times in a child's life when their brains are developing.
And obesity in children is also a factor. As many as 60% of adolescents who are obese have sleep apnea. Giovanni had his tonsils out and his sleep improved a little.
5 hours of physical activity per week.
His doctor also wants him to focus on lifestyle changes to get to a healthier weight.
I feel like the tiredness does affect him a little bit. I just want the best, and hopefully he can get the help he needs.
His mom hopes with a good night's rest, Giovanni will have better days. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
Transitioning into a little Skywatch Storm Tracker weather, we're currently looking at the torrential rainfall that's being provided by the remnants of what was once a hurricane, once was a tropical storm. Of course, we know it as Ida as it continues to flood the northeastern and New England portions of the United States, now making its way as far north as Nova Scotia. Now, back here in the 4 states, we're doing all right, but look at all the local storm reports. You see those red icons. Those are indications of funnel clouds and tornadoes that Ida dropped late last night into early this morning. Luckily, our severe thunderstorm risk map stays up to the northwest of us through portions of Nebraska and north central Kansas. Only thing we need to be careful of is a stray raindrop or two and some good old-fashioned September heat. Of course, we have heat advisories for northeast Oklahoma. And as we see the system move in from the west, every now and then we get a raindrop, but I think really Friday is when it's going to pick up and begin to roll through in earnest. That'll also bring us some thunder and lightning from Friday into Saturday. Cooler temperatures over the weekend, but then Labor Day itself looking like a scorcher as we're back into the 90s. Be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Pittsburgh State Gorillas and Missouri Southern Lions both opening up MIAA play tonight. It is tonight. It's Thursday. My goodness, Gorillas taking on a Central Missouri State team that is ranked 13th in the nation. That's right, CMSU coming in number 13. UCM, I just showed my age right there by calling them CMSU. No offense, Warrensburg. All right, so let's talk quarterbacks. First off, for the Gorillas, sophomore Mack Sexton. He is back this fall. He is under center. Now, last fall, Sexton played 4 non-conference games for PSU, threw for just over 1,000 yards, had 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Now, if you've ever talked to Mack or you've seen him play, he likes to sling it. So he's a big fan of the new offense under new head coach Brian Wright.
I like throwing it around. I mean, it fits my style, and I think he enjoys it too, moving the ball down the field in chunks. Yeah, I like throwing it all around the field. He's picked up our offense well. He understands what we're trying to do as we move the ball down the field, not only in the passing game, but in the run game, and counting how many defenders are in the box and so forth. So he's done a good job of that.
As for Missouri Southern, the Lions are on the road against Nebraska Kearney to open the season tonight. Of course, new head coach right there, Atiba Bradley, former Missouri Southern Lion himself, former Joplin Eagle. And they're going to be rolling in with a new quarterback as well. Dawson Hurl is his name. He's a redshirt freshman out of William Crisman High School.
He's very poised. He very rarely gets rattled. He's a guy that has a very short-term memory. A bad throw doesn't affect his next throw. He's a guy that has a lot of confidence for his age to be able to step into a huddle and demand the respect and the attention of the team. And so when your signal caller has those attributes, it's a very good thing.
Little backstory here. I told the story the last hour. These dudes right here. So I wake up Saturday morning, and I'm going through high school football scores, just checking out, see who did what and whatnot. And I have I have some very good friends down in War Dog territory, and I simply texted them War Dog pride. It's because the Miami War Dogs snapped a 19-game losing streak on Friday. Won that season opener against Dewey. And now you got a young War Dog team preparing for the home opener come this Friday and aiming to do something this program has not done in some 16 years.
The Miami War Dogs are coming off their first win since 2019.
It feels great. I mean, it just proves to the kids that hard work pays off. It was so loud, I'll tell you that right now, but it was just crazy. Everybody's just hyped, jumping on each other, hugging, little crying here and there. It's just not used to it. It's definitely a different feeling. Feels amazing. Just starting out like this, want to know.
This Friday, they'll play their home opener against Jay.
A very physical football team and kind of the old style pursuit of the wishbone. So it's going to be a very physical game and see how our kids respond to the physicality, because we come off of a finesse team in Dewey who throws it 30-plus times a game to a ground pound team that we're going to have to respond to.
With a win, the War Dogs will be off to a 2-0 start for the first time since 2005.
Well, it'll just be a huge confidence builder. I mean, it's what these kids need. It's not going to be athleticism right now that we're lacking in. It's just the maturity and just some self-confidence, knowing that they're still capable of doing it. They won at the grade school and middle school levels, and that's a total different ball game. But now you have 14, 15-year-olds, facing 18, 19-year-olds, and that's a big maturity division right there. But if our kids can find a way to fight and win right now, the future's really bright here at Miami.
This Miami roster is a young one, featuring just 6 juniors and 6 seniors. It's their sophomore class with 20 players that brings the numbers and plenty of talent, hoping to make winning a weekly expectation now and in the future.
This group right here is pretty special that they're sophomores now, and all they've known is us as far as a staff. So we established stability with those kids. The relationships are great, and they've really bought in.
They're definitely bigger, stronger coming up throughout the program. And we definitely rely on them with the numbers that they have. They're pretty much the heart of our team.
We have a challenging upcoming schedule, but 1 week at a time, we feel like this is a team that we match up well with, and we need to go get another one.
War Dogs are in their 4th season under Zach Gardner. Kickoff for Friday's game against Jay. Let's roll at 7 o'clock. Cardinals wrapping up a 3-game set with the Reds. 2 teams had a doubleheader, had to finish off Game 1, then Game 2, couple 7-inning affairs. Now in Game 1, Cardinals did win this one 5-4. Paul Goldschmidt, he homered twice, including getting the Cardinals off to a first-inning lead, and then he came back and beat the Reds again. Well, I tell you what, Paul Goldschmidt and you Cardinal fans, if he's going to hit 2, guess what Nick Castellanos can do? See you. And then Nick's got the bases loaded. That worked. And then Kyle Farmer. That worked. Hey, don't hate me, Cardinal fans. Don't at me. You know why? Because we're all still chasing the Padres. Doesn't matter. Get past each other, claw to get to the top of that hill, and then we just run into the Padres when it's all said and done. All right, in the American League, look at old Raul Mondesi there, 2 for 4 with solo. Alberto. Oh my gosh, I just called him Raul. I just called him his dad's name. It's been a long morning. His dad was a heck of a player. Well, I don't know why you guys are laughing at me. Raul Mondesi was a heck of a player. I might take him over Alberto right now, as a matter of fact, if I had to pick a starting 9. How about that? All right, Cleveland wins at 5-3. And like I said, Cardinal fans, you got your split. We're all chasing the Padres. Be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Have some fun with me. Be back right after this. We take this time to honor this morning's 4-state hero. Wayne Prosser served as a tech sergeant in the United States Air Force, a native of Neodesha, Kansas, who served his country in the European theater from October 1942 to June 1945. He was a member of the 803 Bomb Squadron and the 485 Bomb Group. Sergeant Prosser won the EAME ribbon with 3 Bronze Stars, the Good Conduct Medal, the Air Medal with 1 Oak Cluster Bronze, as well as the POW Medal. To Tech Sergeant Wayne Prosser, we salute you. This morning's 4-State Hero. Now we turn it over to Elise Preston. She has this morning's Money Watch.
Stocks ended mixed yesterday as investors await Friday's August employment report for clues on the economy. The Dow Jones fell 48 points, the Nasdaq jumped 50, and the S&P 500 rose 1. A federal bankruptcy judge has given conditional approval to a sweeping settlement that would remove the Sackler family from ownership of OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma. Under the settlement, the Sacklers have to get out of the opioid business altogether and contribute $4.5 billion to fighting the opioid crisis. In return, they will be shielded from future lawsuits over opioids. Paramount Pictures is postponing the release of Top Gun Maverick until next Memorial Day weekend in May. The Top Gun sequel starring Tom Cruise had been set to hit the big screen in November. The Delta variant is prompting the delay of a number of film releases. Paramount Pictures is a unit of Viacom CBS. And that's your CBS Money Watch report. For more, head to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Elise Preston.
We've got another half hour of news and weather just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, we'll be talking about not only the new COVID situation at 4 state school districts, but also how much is too much to pay at the pump, especially with Labor Day weekend right around the corner. We'll be right back after this.
4 States' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, where it's currently 7:31. Here's a look at today's top stories. Local school districts reporting students testing positive for COVID-19 just after the first week of school. Districts in Jasper and Newton counties have seen positive cases among students and staff, having to quarantine several students as well. KOAM's Zach Dodge details the story and why a local health department is not surprised to see these numbers.
22 students in Neosho are currently not in school, under isolation after testing positive.
The cases that we have seem to be somewhat isolated and controlled.
9 of them on the first day.
That first day we were somewhat alarmed and what we found out, and those are students that called in and said, you know, we're positive.
Other than that, the highest increase from day to day has been 5 from August 31st to September 1st.
I haven't really pinpointed as to where most of these kids might have gotten it, but certainly the ones when we asked them, there's no clear, a school staff member or a schoolmate had it, and then we were in contact with them.
Larry Bergner at the Newton County Health Department isn't surprised by the cases.
We expect to see positives.
And it isn't just in Neosho. As of Friday, Joplin had 17 positives among students and 135 students with quarantine designations. And Carthage had 10 positives with 47 students being quarantined. At least in Newton County anyway, Bergner expects the year to look about like it did last year.
September, October, we saw increasing numbers, and as we got into late October, November, we saw a rapid decline.
If we can manage like we are right now to keep the case level low, I think we'll be okay. I think if we see a spike in cases, we'll be looking at other solutions.
Those other solutions in Neosho would be requiring masks if 7% of students in a school test positive, or closing schools if positive student cases reach 10%. In Neosho, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Right now in Neosho, 0.5% of students have tested positive. 1.6% of students have been identified as what is considered close contact. A Missouri judge has refused to reinstate federal unemployment benefits that were cut in June. That's when Governor Mike Parson pulled out of several federal programs. In Cole County, Missouri, Circuit Judge John Beadham said the court would not substitute its judgment for that of the governor. The ruling by the Honorable Beadham came a day after lawyers representing Missouri residents who lost the jobless benefits asked for not only reinstatement, but also wanted back pay. The enhanced benefits added money to the unemployment checks for out-of-work Americans to help ease the crunch caused by shutdowns during the pandemic. But some Republican governors, including Governor Parson, ended the benefits to try to prod people to rejoin the workforce. In Overland Park, Kansas, police announced yesterday that 23-year-old officer who was battling COVID-19 died. Officer Freddie Castro tested positive for COVID in July.
Sad. You know, he fought till this afternoon when it was time for him to go. I mean, he was here for 37 days, 35 of those days on that ventilator, and I tell you, to see what he has gone through and the shape that he was in, no one should go through that. This virus is not to be taken lightly.
Police Chief Frank Donchez released a statement on Facebook saying, "It is with a heavy heart that I share that Overland Park police officer Freddie Castro passed away a short time ago. Freddie was young, enthusiastic, and so proud to be a police officer. He left a lasting impact on our department, and we will miss him. Please keep Freddie's family and his friends and his OPPD family in your thoughts and prayers." The head of Oklahoma's Medicaid agency says the $164 million appropriated by the Oklahoma legislature for Medicaid expansion remains untouched in an agency savings account. Oklahoma Healthcare Authority CEO Kevin Corbett told legislators the agency has used savings generated from Medicaid expansion and federal funds to pay for the expansion. Corbett told lawmakers an estimated 700 to 800 Oklahomans are qualifying each day for health coverage under Medicaid expansion, although he does expect that number to slow down in the coming months. As of Monday, Corbett says about 170,000 people had qualified for Medicaid under the expansion. Crowder College in Neosho, Missouri is now looking for a new president, and as part of that process, the school wants input from the public. School hosted a public forum laying the groundwork for what it calls a presidential profile. That's going to be used for the recruitment and evaluation of these new candidates.
There are many capable people out there, but finding someone who's truly a fit for this college culture, which is very unique, everyone is, but that's going to be the critical challenge for the search committee and for the board. And I'm confident that we will find a really good president moving forward for the future.
The college's current president, Glenn Coltharp, is retiring at the end of the school year. Area high school counselors were honored at Missouri Southern as the college hosted Counselor Appreciation Day. It's a chance for those counselors to learn about new scholarships, about student housing, and about academic opportunities.
New programs that we offer, new housing options, new scholarships. They're also going to be hearing from some of our academic programs who are going to tell them everything that is involved with that academic program, mostly our new ones, mostly our very immersive, very hands-on learning ones.
Counselors also had a chance to win one of 5 $1,000 scholarships, and here's the really neat thing. Those counselors could distribute those scholarships however they saw fit. As part of Missouri Southern's Japan semester, students were learning about an iconic Japanese film. You may know it as Godzilla. At a seminar in Corley Auditorium called Godzilla Unbound, students learned about the film's cultural impact. Now, the original Japanese version of the film was not just a scarefest monster movie. It actually featured allusions to the American atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Godzilla Unbound, just one piece of a larger mission at Missouri Southern this semester.
Be intrigued by some aspect of Japanese culture and perhaps want to learn more and study on their own, and so they're just getting a brief taste of Japan today. We have really 40 more events yet to come. It's just the beginning of our Japan semester.
Other events this week include a sidewalk chalk contest and also a screening of the film Ikiru. As we transition over the mothership there, just outside of our television station, just a gorgeous, gorgeous start. A whole bunch of blue sky, and there we are at 7th and Rangeline. We'll transition this down to the actual intersection here in just a little bit and see how we're picking up traffic-wise. You'll notice there's no difference, though, in between the temperature and what it feels like, and that's thanks in part to our humidity being about, say, 10, 11 percentage points lower than what it has been, down to 84% this time of the morning. We like that. Let's roll 70 in Lamar, 72 in Miami, 70 in Chanute, and we got a pair of 69s in both Fort Scott and Nevada. Still keeping that rain off to the far west, and the majority of the cloud cover hasn't even gotten to the other side of Wichita as of yet. That being said, go ahead, throw the umbrella in there. That way you got it. We're not going to see widespread rain for today, but it's not going to be organized or anything. But like I said, why leave home without it? And luckily, we've got nothing like what's going on along the East Coast. Now, while we've seen really the heaviest rain of Ida now push to the north into Nova Scotia, still massive flooding concerns all throughout the northeastern portion of the United States. And look at the multiple red icons there. The funnel clouds gives you an idea of the confirmed tornadoes that Ida sprung. All right, our severe thunderstorm risk map, like I said, everything I think is going to break up as it heads toward us, and that's why we keep that low category throughout Nebraska and north central Kansas. And temperatures in the 90s. Tomorrow is going to be a little bit of a scorcher, but Saturday and Sunday, big cool off on the way right there. But just in time for the actual holiday itself, we're going to be right back into the 90s on Monday. As a matter of fact, we'll be right back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Gas prices this Labor Day weekend are already higher than normal. And now with Hurricane Ida's direct hit on our nation's oil and gas industry, could send that price at the pump even higher. Mandy Gaither with a closer look at when experts say you may be able to catch a break.
Hurricane Ida threatening to spike gas prices nationwide as millions of people are expected to hit the road for the Labor Day weekend.
We always see gas prices increase, but this year we're going to see them go up just a little bit more, and that's because of the aftermath of Hurricane Ida. She took off about 13% of our refining capacities.
AAA says many of the major refineries in the region are shut down or running at reduced rates, and major pipelines carrying gas, diesel, and jet fuel from the Gulf Coast to other states were also shut as a precaution ahead of Ida.
With a Category 4 storm that typically takes 3+ weeks for refineries to get started again and get back to normal operations. Right now, we don't have a timeline from those refineries when they'll be operating again.
Gas prices have already shot up nearly 80% from their low point in April 2020, but demand remains high as more people hit the road, and gas prices will likely keep climbing. According to AAA on Wednesday, the price of a gallon of regular gas stood at $3.17.
Headed into Labor Day weekend, we do expect this to be the most expensive prices we've seen for the holiday since 2014.
And while AAA says prolonged power outages could keep refineries and pipelines offline, potentially raising gas prices, once refineries go back online, AAA expects prices to come down as demand drops after Labor Day.
People are traveling less, school's back in session. So there should be some relief coming to the pump. I'd say mid to late September.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
More than 95% of U.S. soil production at offshore platforms and rigs in the Gulf were shut down ahead of what was then Hurricane Ida. We made that the subject of this morning Something to Talk About on our KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. Specifically, we're asking how much do you expect to pay for gas over the Labor Day weekend? And right now, 60% of you say you expect to pay more than $2.90 a gallon. You're pushing up close to $3. As a matter of fact, just second behind it is that $2.81 to $2.90 range. Appreciate all your engagement this morning and everybody taking part. You can take part every morning by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote or connecting to us through our Insta poll and Facebook pages. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the ADP Employment Report came in with far fewer jobs added in August than projected. Now, the ADP report shows 374,000 new private sector jobs instead of the more than 600,000 that economists had expected, 374 to 6,000. Most of the new jobs were in the leisure and hospitality sector. Of course, that's one of the industries hardest hit by the pandemic. One company that is adding jobs is Walmart, as the store giant planning to hire 20,000 full and part-time employees to bolster its supply chain. Permanent jobs will be at the company's distribution, fulfillment, and transportation centers. Hiring events will be held next week. Employers are instituting more vaccine mandates. There's a new survey from consultant Willis Towers and Watson that shows more than half of U.S. employers are planning or considering requirements for a COVID-19 vaccination by the end of this year. Now, just more than 20% of companies surveyed currently have such a rule in place. 14% of those surveyed say they're considering a healthcare surcharge for those who choose not to get vaccinated. And Aston Martin has a car built for a spy. Here's the deal. All right, they're actually selling 25 life-size versions of the classic 007 James Bond 1965 toy car. It's the old Aston Martin, man. You get a working smoke screen. Who doesn't need that, right? Deployable bulletproof shield, right? They say the machine guns that emerge from the corner lights are fake. Right. Okay. Sticker price, $3.5 million. Now get this. They're not legal to drive on the street. Now, I was just curious if you guys wanted to go to the Starbucks video. I was going to let it sit, man. Like, I was good with letting everybody take that in about what would I do with bulletproof glass, smoke screen, and why would you even put fake machine guns that come out? Like, aren't you just asking for trouble? It feels that way. It feels like you're just asking for trouble. I got to do the Starbucks story because I'll do the Starbucks story. Okay. I'm driving my control room up a wall right now. This is why this has been a fun morning. All right, Starbucks says when it comes to their favorite coffee order, I guess most people are going the cool way, they say. 74%, this is crazy, 74% of all drinks ordered at Starbucks last quarter were cold drinks. I'll be darned. So you got your iced coffee, your cold brews, teas, frappuccinos, and that's actually a 10% increase from last year. I guess the cold trend was seen reflected in the sales of the fall classic. The good old pumpkin spice, here we go. Iced pumpkin spice lattes. Get this, iced pumpkin spice lattes reportedly outsold hot ones last year. This is what we're talking about. Iced pumpkin lattes. No, the world has no problems. We're worried about what's selling more. Iced pumpkin spice lattes. All right, Van Leeuwen's strange but successful Kraft macaroni and cheese inspired ice cream. This thing's back. It's a Brooklyn-based ice cream retailer that's welcoming back its limited edition of macaroni and cheese flavored ice cream. Van Leeuwen introduced the unlikely mashup in July. And I was like, oh, this can't be good. It's sold out. It sold out quickly, as a matter of fact. So the containers ship nationwide, and they cost $12. Customers can order yours while supplies last. Just go to Van Leeuwen's website. I'm not trying to plug Van Leeuwen's, but I mean, I guess if you want to spend $12 for macaroni and cheese ice cream, you probably want to invest in an ice cold, what was it, Marcus? The pumpkin spice latte, right? Right. Get that in a cold drink at the same time. Be back right after this. Has been a nice looking start over the 4 states. There we are outside of Television City, and here we are at a busy 7th and Range line, but a very comfortable 71 degrees, and temperatures anywhere from really about 68 to 72 and 73. We're seeing the cloud cover push just a little east of Wichita, but the rain still remaining out in really west central Kansas. It hasn't had a whole lot of movement. There we are with Ida's flooding throughout the northeast and New England portion of the United States, making its way all the way to Nova Scotia. with severe thunderstorm activity staying up to our northeast. Shouldn't really play a role in our weather, as it is beginning already to fall apart as we get through the latter half of the morning. Highs today up into the high 80s, low 90s. Remember, we've got heat advisories for northeast Oklahoma. Press into tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a little bit muggy right there, but we will get some thunderstorm activity, take us down to the 80s for Saturday and Sunday, and then back into the 90s just in time for the Labor Day holiday. We'll be back and wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. I got a blue heeler and a Boston Terrier that follow me around. But I tell you what, nobody can compete with Anthony Farnell because he's doing this live weather update. That's his golden doodle by the name of Storm. I'm not sure why Anthony brought him to work, but you gotta love this. This is the great thing about live TV, folks. Look, I think it's great. Viewers loved it. They called it perfect for the dog days of summer. And you know, sometimes you just gotta look at life and you gotta laugh. And that's why I wanted to finish it off by putting the good in your morning. Please join us, and we'll be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon. Have a great morning and an even better day.
At Long John